I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. Doobie-doobie-doo. Hello, what's going on, everyone? Happy Tuesday. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm in the middle of a nor'easter here, so I'm going to try to keep this live stream to 1 hour just in case I lose power. Hey, that rhymes. But I hope that I do not. But yeah, the weather is really crazy right now. It's a hot mess. Shout out to everyone watching on Rockfin and everyone on YouTube and those of you who are watching the stream on Twitter as well. Want to start out by shouting out people in the chat. I see a lot of comments already. I wonder what you guys are here for. Shout out to LT the Third. Good vibes. What's going on, Gregory? Chomsky is an establishment hack. Oh, man. The comments are already coming in, you guys. What's going on as anti-establishment hack? Greetings, Lawrence Johnson. It's always great to see you. Chomsky morphed into Gandalf the Grey. What? Okay. Only needs that pointed hat with a huge brim. Oh, Lawrence. Oh, man. What's going on, Gregory? No, I saw you earlier. What's up, John? Vaush considers himself a Fred Hampton leftist. LOL. Oh, we will get into that tonight. What's going on, Spinka Winka? With the fall of many progressives over the last year, I'm very happy to have found folks like Sabby and FHL. This is where my hope is. Oh, that's really sweet. Thank you so much. Awesome. Shout out to Ty G. Anyone here see Sabby on Crosstalk? She was amazing. Oh, thank you so much. That was a great experience, you guys. Funny thing about that appearance, I actually could not see the people I was talking to. I could see myself, but I couldn't see them, but we could hear each other. So that was a different, experience. It was pretty cool. What is going on, Eric Thomas, who's a Sabby member? Yeah, it was funny to see conservatives say, I agree with everything you're saying. Yeah, like that was such a defining moment. I feel like that was the first time I was, talking with people who were, not leftists. And they're like, yeah, I agree with, we're on the same page here. So it's important that we have those conversations with people who don't, necessarily have the same political ideology as us. So that is very, very important. All right. What is going on, Miguel H? Peace. Greetings, Laura Hanson. Have a great show. Thank you. I will. What's going on, Hannah G? Chomsky changed. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. We're going to go through that video. Oh, man, it's going to be painful, but we're here. What's going on, the virtual Jonathan? Please at least mention Russell Maroon shows compassionate release. I'm not familiar with that. I'll have to check that out. But welcome. What's going on, Aspen Fallen? Doobie doo. Yes, doobie doo. Greetings, Ashura. Your best topics up to date, Sabby. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I had like 6 stories that I was trying to decide from, and these are the 3 that I chose. What's going on, Silver Surfer? Oh, that's an interesting name. Gamer for Life. Always a pleasure to see you. What's going on, Kim? Doobie doo. All right. And greetings, of course, to Valerie Parcell. She says, hello, chatters. What's going on, the Robert Escobar show? What's up, Ware Pilgrim? Always great to see you as well. And of course, a big shout out to Gary. If you're older than 75, you're out of touch. Ouch. Oh, ouch. Oh, man. And what's going on, Sean M? Good evening. How are things going in Beantown? Right now, it is very rainy and windy, and we are in the middle of a nor'easter. I heard that I think it was New Jersey is under a state emergency. So it looks like they got hit pretty bad. So yeah, weird weather we're having. Greetings, Leroy. Always great to see you as well. Shout out Arthur for the super chat. Hey, Sabby, sorry about the Red Sox. Thanks so much, Arthur. Yeah, I really wanted us to win, but I'm looking back on it. I don't think this was our year. I don't think it was our turn to go to the World Series again. I just think that there are some things that we need to fix on that team. I think we need to start with the relief pitchers. Not naming any names, but I think we need to start with the relief pitchers. That is a weak spot for us on this team right now. And we made a lot of errors. I mean, I watched that game with the Astros, not the last one, but the one before that. And we were dropping the ball and like literally dropping the ball. And so we got some things we got to work on, but I believe we'll get back there. We'll get back there. All right. Welcome to Sabby Sabs Podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina Salvati. If you're new, Sabby Sabs Podcast is a part of the Fred Hampton Leftist Network. You can find me there on Thursdays for the Roundtable and on Fridays for the Sabby Sabs Show. And all these other nights on the week, you can find me here. Yeah. Oh, yes, Keo, this is true. Were the Astros stealing signs again? I don't know if it happened again, but yeah, the Astros did get in trouble for cheating. I don't know if everyone is aware of that. So that's another reason why I'm like, I hope the Braves like destroy the Astros. I hope they like demolish them. I'm not even a Braves fan, obviously, but I just don't want them to win, man. I can't after this. But I'm going to go ahead and open the thumbnail to show you what we're going to talk about tonight. Get my screen going. And oh my God, you guys, this is the craziest thing. You know what song I've had stuck in my head all morning? Actually, all day. Return of the Mac. You guys remember that song? I don't know how old everyone is in the chat, but Return of the Mac was this song. And it was one of those songs like people would play it like at nightclubs. People used to make fun of it and stuff too, because you can't really hear everything he's saying in the song. It just goes, Return of the Mac, Return of the Mac. That's all I really know because I can't understand the other words, but I've had that song stuck in my head all day and it's driving me crazy. It's just weird because it came out of nowhere. So I'm just like, Alira says, my girl loves when that song comes on. Yeah, that song is driving me crazy, man. I'm like, I haven't heard that song in years. And I woke up this morning with that song in my head. Don't even remember the guy's name who sang the song. Oh, well. All right. Let me share my screen so I can show you what we're going to talk about tonight. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Do. All right. Tonight, we're going to talk about Chomsky interview reaction. I'm going to tell you how I feel about that interview that he had with Primo Radical. It is very clear to me that Chomsky is not the same Chomsky that I think most of us are familiar with. He has changed, and we're going to go through that video. Dave Chappelle fires back. Yep. So Dave Chappelle has issued a statement in reference to, a lot of the pushback that he got from his Netflix. What was the name of it? Oh, The Closer. His Netflix comedy special, The Closer. So I'm going to talk about his statement. We're going to talk about that tonight. And Vaush, Fred Hampton School, ? Yeah. So that happened. That was on Twitter. We're going to talk about that as well. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. I don't know if it's pronounced Vaush or Vaush. Maybe it is Vaush. Anyway, we're going to talk about that. So let me stop sharing my screen. Hey, Propaganda Live. Always great to see you. All right, let's go ahead and get started with the Chomsky interview because man, Sabby not happy. And I do want to say, I think Primo Radical did a great job, as usual. This really isn't about him because he was asking Chomsky some really good questions. Chomsky, however, his answers are going to make you cringe. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but if you haven't, you get to see it here. So I am going to go through a couple of points in this interview. I'm not going to be able to talk about his response with the jab because it's not me, it's YouTube. I already know what's going to happen if I do that. But I am going to talk about some of the things that he had to say about the Democratic Party, and some of the things he had to say about student loan debt, canceling student loan debt, etc. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And I'm going to talk through this. Talking through. All right, so let's go ahead and get this started. This is the first question right out of the gate. Let me go ahead and mute my mic, and here we go.
From a political perspective, in regards to the Democratic Party and their political calculus, is the new wave of austerity that we're seeing in regards to the unemployment benefits, the COVID era unemployment benefits being rolled back, also the eviction moratorium. And in February, we're set to see student loan payments resume for the first time in almost 2 years. And this is a little confusing to me. I'm just kind of wondering why Democrats would be doing this going into the 2022 election. Do you have any thoughts on why this is happening?
It's happening because of the Republicans and the right-wing Democrats. It's not the Democratic Party.
See, I already have to stop it right there. He said it's happening because the Republicans, he's blaming the Republicans, he's blaming the right, and he said it's not because of the Democratic Party. Mistake number one, that's not true. That's false. Both parties are at fault here, and I can't believe that Chomsky is going to defend the Democratic Party. Going back in.
It's the Republicans who are 100% rock solid opposed to anything that might harm the interests of the ultra rich and the corporate sector. We saw it again today. Read the business pages this morning. Okay.
Got to jump in again here. I'm sorry, but Democrats have that issue too. Democrats also are for the corporations. That is why they continue to fight for corporations instead of the American people. And they get their funding from corporations. Their donors are corporate. Again, it is not just the Republicans. That is the oh my God, right out of the gate, I'm already pissed. Let's go on.
Okay, this morning, right now, I have it right in front of me, if you want me to quote it. The Republican Party and the right-wing Democrats, who are mislabeled moderate, are moving to ensure that the Internal Revenue Service cannot investigate rich tax cheats. Okay, that's the Republican Party. You can't even investigate tax cheating by the very rich.
Again, it's not just the Republicans, it's the Democrats too. This is a problem. I'm going to move on to the next point. So, the first problem I have with his responses, again, he's doing what a lot of liberals do. He's doing what a lot of establishment Democrats do. They blame the Republicans. It's the right's fault. The Democrats are never at fault. It's the right. Don't like it. Moving on to the next point. Now, in this clip, well, actually, it's the same video, but I'm going to go forward. He is starting to talk about student loan debt. So let's fast forward to that.
Whether or not Joe Biden could write off student loan debt. Do you have any thoughts on why he wouldn't do that?
He could. You're saying he might say by executive order.
Yes.
Rule Congress. Yes, he could. And
but if the president has the power to pause student loan payments, doesn't that suggest that he has the power to get rid of them?
He could try an executive order to overrule the right wing, the far right efforts to harm the population and benefit the very rich. He could try that. It would immediately start a series of lawsuits by major corporations, tie up the courts for 15 years. They have enormous resources. It would mean more fossil fuel and corporate funding for the right wing Democrats and Republicans. they would give them more incentive and they'd be able to get public opinion to back them through the kinds of things you're saying, to try to stymie the rest of the program. So he could do that, but it would be political suicide.
Gotta jump in again. He said, yeah, Joe Biden can cancel student loan debt, but it would be political suicide. I'm sorry. I think political suicide would be to not cancel student loan debt, to continue to let millennials, Gen Z, to continue to let, and Gen X, by the way, to continue to let us struggle, to let us suffer. It is not benefiting the economy by people still holding on to this. No, we are not going to cancel student loan debt. If we got rid of student loan debt, that would stimulate the economy. Maybe you'd see more millennials and Gen Z purchasing homes. Maybe you'd see them getting married and starting families. So no, I think by Joe Biden not canceling student loan debt, I think that is political suicide. That is going to be a problem. Mark my words, come 2024. But let's continue.
As I see it, the current course is political suicide because, again, in February, you're going to have 45 million people in this country who weren't making student loan payments for the past 2 years, having to effectively make another mortgage payment every month. That seems like it could be just catastrophic to the economy and civil society.
That's right. The right wing and the positions you're advocating have set up a situation in which there's no easy way out.
Got to jump in again here. I'm sorry. Yes, Primo Radical is 100% right. And once again, Chomsky is blaming the right. It's the Republicans. They're the ones who set up that situation. Nah, man, Democrats are at fault with this too. It's not just the Republicans. Again, he's putting all the blame back on the Republicans. Just freaking admit that Joe Biden is not doing a good job. Just freaking admit that Obama sucked. Just freaking admit that Democrats have sold us down the river the same way that Republicans have. Just freaking admit it. Let's go on.
If you follow what the Republicans 100% and the right-wing Democrats are demanding, it's very harmful to the country and to the prospects for the Democrats. In fact, that's exactly why they're doing it. They're quite open about it. As McConnell put it very clearly, explicitly, we have to make sure the country's ungovernable, meaning harm the country as much as possible, and then we can blame it on the Democrats. That's the right wing, including the right wing Democrats, Manchin, Sinema, others.
Dude, again, both parties do that. Democrats do that and Republicans do that. It's not just the Republicans who do that. Come on, let's be real here. Wake up. I'm going to fast forward to another section of this interview that is pretty disturbing. This section, he starts talking to him about having a debt strike for student loans. Listen to the question that he's going to ask him and listen to his response.
Of the 45 million people who owe student loans.
Sorry.
Would you be supportive of the 45 million people who owe student loans when those payments resume, going on debt strike and not continuing not to make payments?
Depends who they are. If it's renters, they may have a case. Renting is going way out of sight. Okay. If we lived in a decent society that cares about people, there would be efforts being made to protect people who cannot find a home at a livable price, since the right wing will not permit us to be a decent society.
Nope. That is not the question that he was asking you. He didn't ask you about renting. He didn't ask you about home ownership. He was asking you about student loans and people who have those loans having a debt strike. Do you support that? His response was, oh, it depends on who they are. What do you mean it depends on who they are? What are we means testing this again? What are you talking about? And then he goes on talking about, well, the renters, nobody said anything about people renting. He was asking him specifically about student loan debt and having a debt strike. He goes off into a tangent. Then he comes back in, and once again he says it's the Republicans' fault. It's the right's fault. No, it's the Democrats' fault too. Let's be real here. When Barack Obama was in office, when we had the housing crisis in 2008, who did Obama choose to bail out? He chose to bail out Wall Street. He didn't choose to bail out the people. Do you know how hard it was graduating from college during that time? Graduating from high school during that time, trying to get a decent job so you could pay your bills, and he bails out Wall Street. This is not just the Republicans' fault, it's the Democrats' fault as well. He's pissing me off. Going on.
Well, we'll have to find some way to defend themselves. As long as the right wing and the business sector are committed to ensuring the demands of the ultra rich in the corporate sector, we're going to be way behind the rest of the world.
The Democrats are a part of that same corporate sector that he is talking about. A lot of them are funded by Big Pharma. A lot of them are funded by Goldman Sachs. They're a part of that same corporate sector, not just the Republicans. Who is this guy in this interview? This is not Noam Chomsky. I feel like somebody has invaded his body and is impersonating him. The Noam Chomsky that I read about, that I was familiar with, would never say this stuff today. Going on.
We already are way behind the developed world. It's a scandal. This is the richest, most country in history. Advantages that no other country has. We rank way at the bottom of the rich countries in elementary and providing elementary human rights. We're the worst in the health system, virtually twice the expenditure of others, some of the worst health outcomes. We don't have childcare. People are forced to work a month longer than they do in comparable countries.
Again, none of that has anything to do with the question that he was asking him. Do you support a student loan debt strike or not? Yes or no? Why are we going into this fairy tale, this long ass essay?
We have a rising mortality, which no country has. Yes, the right wing and the business sector have put a stranglehold on the country, which is harming it severely. And under those circumstances, people have to find some way to protect themselves.
As my grandma would say, Lord Jesus, what was that? And shout out to Primo Radical. Nothing against him. He did a good job. He asked good questions, as he always does. But what is he talking about? What was that essay response that we just got? Where is Noam Chomsky? Who is hiding the real Noam Chomsky? Have you guys ever seen that movie, Invasion of the Body Snatchers? I feel like that's what I'm witnessing right now. There's no way this is the same dude. And I know a lot of us looked up to him. I used to work at MIT, where Chomsky taught. He's renowned there. I don't know who this guy is. Horny unicorn said, "You shall not pass. Shan't pass, yo." Oh my gosh. You guys think he looks like Gandalf? You guys are funny. You guys got jokes tonight. Nakisha is correct. Twilight Zone. Yes. What episode is this? Who is this guy? I can't believe this is the same person. There's just no way. No way. First, I saw the interview that he did with Vanguard a while back where he was against forced vote. He said it's like kids begging for candy. I'm sorry. But the fact that everyone doesn't have health care in this country, I don't think that's kids begging for candy. Everybody needs to have health care. It just, what the heck? Somebody got to him. Dems got to him. Tone down the socialism, Noam. We don't want to give the young people any ideas. We don't want them to start having these left thoughts. Simp for Biden. Go along with the Democrats, Noam. Shout out to Roger Meadows for the super chat. Vote Blue Brother Boomer at Barbershop. I showed a YouTube clip. Joe's support among us and women plummeted. He told me it's GOP getting into their head to convince Joe bad. Yeah, this is happening a lot. Like, it's not, look, at some point, thanks so much, Roger, for the super chat. At some point, you can't just blame the Republicans. At some point, you need to look at this and you need to point out the things that the Democrats have done wrong as well. This is a problem. And now we have someone, Noam Chomsky, who I greatly admired, past tense, who he's now spewing this same rhetoric. Is anybody on our side anymore? I mean, come on. If Chomsky's not with us, who's still with us? I guess the only one left is Richard Wolff. We got to protect him. We got to protect Richard Wolff and make sure they don't get him. I just can't. Bryce says, I hope Richard Wolff and Chris Hedges doesn't end up like Chomsky. I hope so too. Like, yo, what the heck is going on around here? This is a problem. That's somebody who should definitely still be on our side. Definitely still be on our side. The Chomsky I knew would call out the Democrats. I know him personally, but you know, he would call them out. Now, he even said in this interview, it's not the Democratic Party. It is the Democratic Party. What the hell? Shout out to Delthea Simmons for the super chat. She's also a Sabby member. Seriously, Noam hadn't been the same since his wife passed away. I did not know that, Delthea. But something has happened here. Something has clearly happened. Thanks so much for the super chat. Shout out to Justin for the super chat. I saw Chomsky in 2016, just before the election, saying we had to vote for Hillary. Really now? It was so gross and he lost me then. I didn't know he did that. Oh, man, how the mighty have fallen. I'm going to say something here that may be considered a little controversial. But to everybody on the left watching this, I think those of us on the left that have a platform, I think we need to stop interviewing Noam Chomsky. Because these last couple of interviews that I've seen him do this year have been cringeworthy. And he is just siding with Biden. He's siding with the Democrats. Even though we can clearly see, those of us living through this hell of a nightmare, we can see the things that Biden is doing wrong. We know because we live it. We have the experience. We're personally affected by it. Let's be real. Noam Chomsky is not. Noam Chomsky is rich. I believe I think I looked this up before. I believe his net worth is in the millions, if I'm not mistaken. I think I looked this up before. But Noam Chomsky, like, he's not living the same life we're living, you guys. You think Noam Chomsky got to worry about student loan debt? You think he has to worry about having health care? No, he's not personally affected. He's rich. Yes, they're like, oh, he was in academia. Yes, he's an academic elite. Shout out to Delthea for the super chat. His wife passed in 2008. He remarried in 2014 and has been going downhill fast. I did not know that as well. Thanks, Delthea, for the super chat. Interesting. That is very interesting. Jared said, send Chomsky a letter to sign pledging that he won't sign any more letters. Oh, man. I'm sorry, you guys. My hair is frizzy. I told you it's been like raining and it's like humid. I can't do this anymore. Robert Escobar show says, exactly, as soon as you can afford healthcare and your basic needs and your effing basic needs are met, you don't give a F about anyone else. Your sense of urgency to solve any problem completely disappears. Thank you for saying that, Robert. That is 100% true. He is all set, you guys. He doesn't have to worry about these things. He don't have to worry about climate change. I'm incredibly disappointed. I actually sent an email to Noam Chomsky a while back asking him if he would support the marches for Medicare for all. I think I can't remember which state, one of the states was trying to get him as a speaker. And that's when he explained to me that he no longer lives on the East Coast. I do remember that. Interesting thing, he actually responded to that email quickly. That was when I had hope. I still had hope for Chomsky. What has happened? Who is next? Yo, I'm telling you, somebody write this down. We got to protect Richard Wolff. We got to protect Chris Hedges, and we got to protect Cornel West too. We cannot let them get to them. We got to protect them. It's like at this point, like, what do you have to lose? Just say it. Biden sucks. Just say it. The Democrats are just as corrupt as the Republicans. It's okay to say that. It's okay to say that even after we had Trump. And I want people to really understand that and hear me here. Do not think that just because we had Trump as president, and he said a lot of awful things, do not feel like you cannot be negative towards the Democrats because we might get another Trump. No, that is what the establishment wants you to do. They want you to keep your mouth shut. They don't want you to criticize the Democrats. You're doing their bidding when you do that. And you're like buying into fear tactics. That's what they want us to do. They want us to be afraid. Oh, if you don't vote for Biden 2024, you're going to end up with another Trump or someone worse. Oh, well, then the next time someone says that to me, I'm going to say, well, we should have had something better. Maybe we should have done things for the American people. Maybe he should have done some of the things that he ran on. Maybe those things should have happened. But I am not going to feel guilty for not voting for the duopoly in 2024. Tried to guilt me in 2016. I will not fall for that again. If we end up with someone worse than Trump, then so be it. Maybe that should happen so the Democrats can wake up. Gene said that Ralph Nader is still as sharp as a tack. Yes, I'm trying to get Ralph Nader. I still got to work on that. You reminded me. Trying to get Ralph Nader on. At this point, though, I'm going to tell you guys, please stop interviewing him on the left. Just stop. Just stop. This is not the same person. Not the same person. It's unfortunate, but something has happened. Man. Leaf Desi says Jimmy Dore 2024, LOL. P. Walker has a good question. Has Biden undone anything Trump did? That's a good question. What has he done? Zayden said we need to overthrow the two-party regime. Yes, and I told you guys this a couple of nights ago. I'm continuing to bring third-party candidates on this show. I do not wish to bring on people who are running a part of the Democratic Party. Now, I did recently have on Shahid Buttar. Shahid Buttar's situation is a little bit different. He comes from activism. He's been thrown out of meetings for fighting for things. But even when Shahid Buttar was on, like, I still stress that, like, running as a part of the two-party system it's still a problem. It's a problem. Gamer for Life said, I'm glad I dim exited. Yo, it's so painful. It's crushing. It's so crushing, man. It hits you right here. He joined the dark side. For those of you who watch Star Wars, you know what I'm talking about. He's on their side now. Shout out to Roger Meadows for the super chat. Political suicide, corporate lawsuits. Dems take a clue from GOP and pass and worry about lawsuits later. What? Say it again. Dems take a clue from GOP and pass and worry about lawsuits later. 100%. Once we get a taste and they take it away, then they'll be held to pay. Political suicide backfired. Well said. Thanks so much for the super chat, Roger. 100%. Same thing with Nancy Pelosi in her interview with Jake Tapper. Oh, we got to do bipartisanship. The only people talking about doing bipartisanship is Democrats. That's it. Thanks so much for the super chat, Marcin. I don't see a message, or maybe it's a super sticker. Thanks so much. Oh my God. It's like watching, your heroes fall. The people that you looked up to, people who actually pushed us further left. If we can't listen to them, if we can't trust them, who can we trust? Oh, I like this, Jared. Chomsky is literally Emperor Palpatine. I'm telling you guys, he joined the Empire. He came over to the dark side. He is no longer a Jedi. Very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Eric Thomas said, we need to be our own heroes. That's a good point. I can't look up to people anymore, man. I can't look up to people anymore. I've been disappointed year after year after year. Yes, whatever, man. You should check out Durden's take on a Project Mayhem on political fight club, Sabby Sabs. Yeah. So Rob was actually on here. I think this might have been a month or two ago. Rob's really cool. You guys should definitely check out his channel. Definitely check it out. Thanks so much for the super chat, Robert Escobar Show. Thanks for the great content. Keeps me good and angry so I won't stay complicit and keep talking shit. Third party from now on only, shut it down. Thanks so much for the super chat, Robert. That's 100%. Got to promote third party candidates. Shout out to Roger Meadows for the super chat. He went to California and all who go there. Oh, he went to California and all who go there lost their mind. Thanks for the super chat, Roger. Shout out to Delthea Simmons for the super chat. Bipartisanship, the belief that agreeing with your enemy and his evil is a good thing. That is well said, Delthea. I should start doing a thing called comment of the week. Who had the best comment of the week? That's 100%. Thanks so much for the super chat. I can't. I'm too old for this. I can't fall for the okie doke anymore. And I don't want you guys to fall for it either. But even when people that we looked up to, people that we admired, people that moved us further left, even when they stumble, even when they start to fuck up, we have to call it out. We can't excuse it just because that's someone that we admired. And I'm seeing people do that. I'm seeing people excuse some of these people just because they admired them, just because they looked up to them. When you're wrong, you're wrong. There is nothing wrong with calling that out. I got to move on to the next story. Because see, Chomsky, he got me all fired up. My bang's starting to frizz. Next story. Let's talk about Dave Chappelle. So most of you know that Dave Chappelle had I guess this was like his final comedy special on Netflix called The Closer. He got a lot of pushback about that. Some of the comments that he made about the transgender community, people were not happy about. Now, I personally, I don't want to speak for the trans community. I can't. I don't have that lived experience. So I don't know what that feels like for them. But I want to let you know that Dave Chappelle has finally issued a statement in reference to all of this. And I'm going to read that statement to you. Shout out to Sharam for the super chat. Thanks so much. Dems and deep state are dangling Trump to scare us into voting for Democrats again next time. We need open primaries and ranked choice voting, like Andrew Yang says. We do need this. We do need ranked choice voting. There are some places in the US that already have it. There's I think one district in Nebraska and Maine. Those are the two that I'm familiar with. But we do need that. It's a problem. I see nothing wrong with us having ranked choice voting. And for people who are against that, you have to ask them why. You don't want third party candidates to have a fighting chance? Got to call it out. Shout out to Steve for the super chat. Torturing beagles with American tax dollars. Really, Fauci? If I met him in a dark alley, ... Oh, Steve. Oh, see, they got Steve mad too. Even Steve's upset. How y'all do that to Steve? How you do it to Steve? Let's see what Chappelle had to say. I've read this article twice because I wanted to make sure that what I showed on here, I don't want this to be offensive to anyone. But this is what he has to say in response to all of this. So bear with me here. Here we go. Dave Chappelle willing to discuss The Closer with trans community, but says he's not bending to anybody's demands. So let's go down here and make sure this is big enough for you guys. Okay, yeah, it is. Dave Chappelle has spoken out about the controversy of his Netflix special, The Closer, in a new stand-up video, saying that he is willing to meet with transgender Netflix employees or other members of the trans community, but won't bend to anybody's demands. In the video, Chappelle remained unapologetic about the special, which was accused of containing transphobic and homophobic remarks and led to a walkout at Netflix, saying, "I said what I said." It's been said in the press that I was invited to speak to the transgender employees of Netflix and I refused. That is not true. If they had invited me, I would have accepted it, although I am confused about what we would be speaking about. Now, this is him talking here. I said what I said, and boy, I heard what you said. My God, how could I not? You said you want a safe working environment at Netflix. It seems like I'm the only one that can't go to the office anymore. This is interesting. Chappelle claimed that the controversy was about corporate interest and that some members of the LGBTQ plus community have been supportive of him. I want everyone in this audience to know that even though the media frames it that it's me versus that community, that's not what it is. Do not blame the LGBTQ sick community for any of this. This has nothing to do with them. It's about corporate interest and what I can say and what I can't say. Now we're bringing back corporations again. This goes right back into the whole corporate idea we were talking about earlier. For the record, and I need you to know this, everyone I know from that community has been loving and supporting, so I don't know what all of this nonsense is about. Chappelle also spoke about his upcoming documentary this summer, 2020 comedy tour, claiming that it has now been excluded from film festivals. All right, so it appears that he's already starting to, I guess, experience some of the effects of being canceled. So listen to this. This film that I made was invited to every film festival in the United States, and some of those invitations I accepted. When this controversy came out about The Closer, they began disinviting me from these film festivals. And now, today, not a film company, not a movie studio, not a film festival. Nobody will touch this film. Thank God for Ted Sarandos and Netflix. He's the only one that didn't cancel me yet. Though Chappelle said he was willing to meet with members of the trans community, he jokingly listed off a slew of conditions that would have to be met. To the transgender community, I am more than willing to give you an audience, but you will not summon me. I am not bending to anyone's demands. And if you want to meet with me, I'd be more than willing to, but I have some conditions. First of all, you cannot come if you have not watched my special from beginning to end. You must come to a place of my choosing at a time of my choosing. And thirdly, you must admit that Hannah Gadsby is not funny. So just keep in mind here, they said he was jokingly saying this. So just keep that in mind. Chappelle closed out the video by saying he plans to make his movie available in 10 cities and then asked the audience, am I canceled or not? Let me pop out for a second. That's pretty much the end of the article, for the most part. I want to be careful, how I talk about this, but again, like I can't say if that was the things that he said was offensive or not offensive to trans people because I'm not trans and I really don't know. What I am going to talk about is cancel culture. Let's talk about that for a minute. Because this is something I've been noticing the past couple of years. Do we really win anything by canceling people? Do conditions improve? Do those people that we canceled, do they change their mindset? I want to bring up an example that I remember when I was growing up. Oh, shout out. Thanks so much, Roger. Thanks for the super chat. Sab, you see why I say abolish all political parties, get rid of them, and there will be no one for SCOTUS, brother baby boomers at barbershop, gnomes, and others to protect. Yeah, I agree. You're right. That's a good point. That's something Roger Meadows has been saying for a while, that we really don't need political parties, period. And thanks again for this super chat as well. If Blacks dim exited and registered indie, we'd push the swing vote past 50%. Now all parties will fight for Black votes. And that is something that I've been telling people as well. You don't have to vote for the Democratic Party. You can become a registered independent. Start voting third party, because the Democrats, they're not going to meet our demands. They're not going to give us the things that we're asking for. You want reparations and you're voting for Dems? Psh, forget it. Forget it. We're going to have to demand it. And that's something that we can do. That's something we can easily do. Change our registration to independent. So thanks so much for the super chat, Roger. So in reference to cancel culture, when I was growing up, there was a popular rapper by the name of Eminem. During that time, Eminem said, I guess, quite a few controversial, things in his songs. And some of those statements that he made were about gay people. Eminem was called out for it. People were like, cancel Eminem. I remember seeing people on TV, local news, they were like smashing his CD and stepping on it and stuff like that. People really go far with this, Eminem decided to take a different approach. Eminem decided that he was going to educate himself about this. First, he did come out in defense and he said, when I say those things in my songs, guys, I'm just joking. I don't really mean it. And I think he actually said that phrase on one of his songs. I'm just joking. You think I really mean these things? So later on, he ended up doing a performance with Elton John. And that was kind of his way of saying, like, I hear you, my bad. I'm learning. Let's move forward. I remember that. Eminem went on, continued his career, took breaks in between here and there. The point that I want to make with that is that I don't think that when we cancel people, it actually solves anything. I think that when we cancel people, it's like we're censoring them in a way. I just don't feel like it makes things better. I think what we could do instead of canceling people is educating them. Now, Dave Chappelle said he's willing to sit down with people, with members of the trans community, and have these discussions. So maybe that's where it should start. But I want to be very clear here about this in reference to cancel culture. We are living in a very PC time. It was not like the time that I grew up in. Shout out to Steve for the super chat. Larry Elder, black man in favor of reparations for the slave owners. Yes, I heard about that. That's ridiculous. Thanks so much for the super chat, Steve. Yeah, he was a piece of work. So when I was growing up, some of the comedians that I saw, you would never be able to see today because I didn't grow up in a PC culture. I remember watching Eddie Murphy's Raw when I was in college. I wasn't in college when it came out. I should make that point. You guys are probably like, what? No, I didn't see it until I was in college. I think it came out in like the 80s, early 80s or something like that. I remember watching old Richard Pryor stand-up comedy. George Carlin, who a lot of people love. And I remember my parents telling me that I couldn't watch Andrew Dice Clay. Didn't know why until I got older, got nosy, found out for myself. So when it comes to comedy, I think about some of the comedians that I saw when I was growing up and some of the things that they said. And I was asking myself this, and my husband and I were talking about this. Would Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, George Carlin, we God know Andrew Dice Clay wouldn't be able to do this. Would they be able to say the things that they said back then today as a part of their stand-up? I don't think they would. I think they'd be canceled. This just goes to show you how times have changed. Back then, when a lot of us heard those jokes, we laughed at it. Something along the way, something changed. And we do live in a very PC time. What comes along with that, as a comedian, if you're a comedian, in order to fit that PC culture, that means that you're going to have to do self-censorship. At that point, is it fun for you as a comedian? I don't know. I'm not a comedian, but as a comedian, is it fun for you anymore if you have to self-censor yourself? I can even go as far as to tell you some of the things that Chris Rock said during his stand-up in the 90s. Probably wouldn't be able to say that today. So times have greatly changed. And I don't know what the answer is. I will say that I am 100% against censorship. Because where do you draw the line? There are some things that comedians say that I think can offend a lot of people. Depends on you as a person, but I think it can offend a lot of people, depending on who you are as a person. And I don't know where we are headed with entertainment in this country, and not just entertainment, but let's talk about what some of us face here on YouTube as well. I just told you earlier in the show, I couldn't talk about a certain portion of that interview with Chomsky. So my whole thing, quit there. Kane, you just told people stop listening to Chomsky. I think people should stop interviewing him. I think people on the left should stop interviewing him because he's not with us anymore. But again, that's still up to them. It's still their decision. I can't make you guys not listen to Chomsky. But I think that if we're not careful, we are headed in a direction that one day is going to get to the point where it's like, well, what can you say? What can you say? Me personally, if there's certain things that I know like I'm going to be offended by, I choose not to watch that content. That's how I handle it. I'm not into a lot of shock, like gory stuff. So I choose not to watch those things. I just think that it's unfortunate that I just feel like people are continuing to have to censor themselves. Shout out to Roger for the super chat. 1988 raw, but delirious 1983. That's Eddie Murphy. That's Eddie Murphy. Thanks so much for the super chat, Roger. If you guys go back and you watch some of those comedians, would they be allowed to do it today? Or would they get canceled? So that question still remains, like, where do we draw the line? I don't know. I don't know. I will say this, though. When it comes to Dave Chappelle, I remember watching the Chappelle show. And it was probably one of the most popular TV shows on cable TV. Actually, on all of TV, period, to be honest, at that time. I remember going to class and people would just be like, I'm Rick James. You guys remember when people used to do that? That show was very popular. I also remember that some of the sketches in Chappelle's show were kind of today would not be accepted. Would not be accepted. But if you go back and you think about Chappelle's show, Dave Chappelle made fun of everybody. Everybody. Why were we able to laugh at those things back then, but today we can't? What changed? I'm going to go to some of the comments in the chat. JB, everyone shout out JB. He's my comrade from FHL. Real cancel culture is when people like Snowden, Dozinger, Hampton, and MLK got canceled by the government. Facts. Well said, JB. Well said. You're right about that one. I just saw another one that I wanted to grab. A tree said my mom canceled my neighbor for having his feet on her couch. Oh my God. Leroy, you brought up a good one. So this was one of the sketches that was on the Chappelle show. Leroy said the black white supremacist was a great skit, LOL. That one was hilarious. I thought that was funny. Could we do it today? Probably not. Probably not. So much has changed. But what I challenge everyone to do, instead of saying cancel this person, hashtag, these hashtags with the cancels just kill me. Instead of saying cancel this person, people get upset. People are offended. Maybe the response should be to educate them. Because like I said, I don't believe that canceling someone actually is going to change the way they feel about that issue. I don't believe it's going to like change their mindset. I don't feel that canceling people actually really does anything for the rest of us, for the rest of society. I don't feel like it actually helps. Gary Hutchinson said the N family was great. That's another one that was on Chappelle's show. It was a white family and they all had the last name, the N word. Couldn't do that today. Could not do that today. Oh. So I agree with you, Aaron. There needs to be healthy discourse for a healthy and functioning society, no matter how disgusting the views and opinions are. Again, it goes back to censorship. And that's the thing you got to be careful with. Because if we say, okay, well, you can't talk about this, and then a couple years from now, it's you can't talk about this and this. A couple years from now, it's this, 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 this. So you have to be careful because it's a slippery slope, especially in the world we're living in today. Thanks for the super chat, Roger. When I started it, I guess Reverend Al going after people like Don Imus, saying stuff like nappy-headed yos, talk about backfire to let them know you can't just say that. I remember when that happened. Don Imus was one of the something with the NBA. I forget his position exactly, but I do remember that. Thanks so much for the super chat. So let's try to do that, you guys. Like going forward, instead of saying, "Oh my God, I didn't like what this person says," #cancel. I'm like, damn, like one day, if things keep going at this rate, I'm like, damn, I could get canceled. Anybody could get canceled. No one's safe. Shout out to Janice for the super chat. Comedy was often used to call out injustice in many cases, but language used was offensive. Cancel culture places verbiage over substance. That's a good point, Janice. Here's the thing, like I know when I watch certain people, I know what to expect. I know that Dave Chappelle makes fun of everybody. I know that if I watch Chris Rock, he's probably going to use a lot of profanity. And these are just things that like I know going into it. Not everybody may know that if they're watching for the first time, but I can also choose not to watch it. And I think canceling people is not the way to go. Someone in the chat just brought up In Living Color, and I can go ahead and tell you that some of the things that were, some of the sketches that were a part of In Living Color, we would not be able to do today. And In Living Color, for the most part, was pretty clean. I don't think they ever used profanity because it was on regular television. But some of the sketches that they did in Living Color, we would not be able to do today. It's just facts. I'm going to go to my last story here. This is about Vaush. Vaush, whatever. Shoot. So this was on Twitter, and this cracked me up. This is a really quick video, so I'll let it play probably like twice because it's like 23 seconds or something like that. But so this happened. So apparently, Vaush said, "I'm of the Fred Hampton school of the Black Panther Party." So we got to hear this. Let me mute my mic.
Party consider the best path towards racial liberation. I'm of the Fred Hampton school of the Black Panther Party. Consider the best path towards racial liberation. I'm of the Fred Hampton school of the Black Panther Party. Consider the best path towards racial liberation. I'm of the Fred Hampton school of the Black Panther Party. Consider the best path towards racial liberation. I'm of the Fred Hampton school of the Black Panther Party. Consider the best path towards racial liberation. I'm of the Fred Hampton school of the Black Panther Party.
Okay. Oh my God. Where do I even begin? So I am a part of the Fred Hampton leftists. To hear someone like Vaush say that he's of the Fred Hampton school, the Black Panther Party, that does not make any sense. Let me pop out. I can't look at him for too much longer. Let me pop out. That doesn't make any sense. Someone just pointed it out in the chat. I don't know where you went. You were just here a second ago. Delthea Simmons said, no, you are not. I agree. He is not. Like, this is hilarious. Here it is. Z said, Vaush is a Fred Hampton leftist. LOL. Yo, okay, let's talk about this for a second. A lot of people watch Vaush. A lot of people, whether we want to admit it or not. What is problematic with what he's saying is that you're reaching like hundreds and thousands of people and you're spreading this message. And they believe you. They believe it because you say it. Fred Hampton would not be okay with Vaush using the N-word. Fred Hampton would not be okay with Vaush saying that Black people should vote for their oppressors. Fred Hampton would not be okay with Vaush telling us that we need to vote for Joe Biden. He would not be a part, he would not be in favor of us being forced to vote for the duopoly. So I don't know what school he went to that he's talking about, but Fred Hampton would not be okay with that. And if Fred Hampton were alive today, someone like Vaush would actually smear Fred Hampton. Let's be real here. You think that Fred Hampton would tell us we need to go out there and vote for blue no matter who? You think Fred Hampton will be okay with people saying that we need to vote for the lesser of two evils? No, he would not be okay with that. Shout out to Roger Meadows for the super chat. To really test yourself to see if you really want to know to cancel, try Lisa Lampanelli, as she makes stereotypical jokes about our community. Yeah, she does. I do remember her. Thanks so much for the super chat, Roger. Yeah, she says some interesting stuff. Delthea Simmons said Fred Hampton would not be okay with Vaush, period. No. Listen. I don't talk about him much like on this show, but like just seeing this on Twitter is just laughable to me. It's just laughable to me. We want to talk about Fred Hampton. I can tell you something recently that happened with Fred Hampton leftists with us. So Rome from FHL actually met Fred Hampton Jr. recently. That was just recent. Vaush ain't from no Fred Hampton school. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. And people will believe this dude. He spreads a lot of neoliberalism. I've seen some of the stuff. I know. Fred Hampton would not be okay with that. So I want to make sure that message gets out because this is not acceptable. This is not cool. Mothra said Vaush can't see past his own class, 0% class traitor. It's just funny to me when you have like all these wealthy guys, these wealthy elite guys, try to educate other people. And I don't know if you guys know this, but Socialist MMA Nick from FHL actually debated Vaush. This was like a while back. Actually tries to tell other Black people about our own freaking culture, about our own history. It just trips me out. And he's not the only one. And they'll come across in that condescending tone. Sam Cedar also has that tone. He had that same tone with Breonna Joy Gray when he debated her about force the vote. Some people picked up on that. Some people didn't. I noticed it right off the bat. So it's really disgusting. It's disgusting. This is one of the reasons why I decided to do this. This is one of the reasons why a lot of us at FHL decided to do this. Because you had people on YouTube and Twitch like Vaush who are rich, who are privileged, and they were saying things about Black people in the Black community that wasn't even true. Their data was wrong. And people would believe it just because the message came from them. And I felt like people need to hear from Black people about these issues. Those of us that have actually lived it and gone through it. And to stop getting your information from rich people who hardly have any interaction with Black people at all. Shout out to Roger Meadows for the super chat. New Yorkers, e-voting started. Vote Y on all 5 proposals. Yeah, so New York's electronic voting. So Roger mentioned this yesterday. He's letting you guys know that it has started to vote yes on all 5 proposals. For those of you that are in New York. Thanks so much, Roger, for the super chat. Ty G says, because he got it all off of Wikipedia. One of the things that really bothers me is when someone who is not Black tries to lecture a Black person about the Black experience. That just cracks me up. They try to come back with theory. Nick and I talked about this. Well, this theory says, bitch, I lived it. Try experience. Screw your theory. I told you guys I was going to be better with language on this show. My bad. My bad. Pat said, my husband was a Black socialist from Alabama. I never try to speak for Black people because he explained to me that I cannot possibly have the Black experience if I'm married to a Black man. Well said. That's probably like the closest like you can get to it, but it's true. It's like if you're not Black yourself, you don't experience the same things that we experience. Just drives me crazy. But people just listen to them. People will believe them. They'll be like, oh my God, did you hear what so-and-so said about this? And then a Black commentator comes along and they'll try to tell them that we're wrong about our own experience. Just cracks me up. Let me speak. Let me do all the talking. I'm the intelligent one here because I'm going to talk to you all about theory. Shout out to Roger Meadows for the super chat. Early voting trying to cram here. Rockfin Sabs. LOL. Oh, early voting trying to cram here. Rockfin. Oh, he wants me to. Yeah, he's telling me that I need to look at Rockfin as well. It's so funny. Thanks so much for the super chat. I wish that's one thing they would change about the super chats though, because that's one thing I'll say I noticed, like you can only put so many characters in it, like there's a character limit. I wish like YouTube would change that. I really do. Who is this? Kat said, so we're stupid to listen to Obama when it came to the Black culture too, I guess. Obama is biracial. Remember that. Obama is biracial. Obama was raised by his mom, or at least that's the story that we were told. I don't know. That may not be true as well. But the story we were told is that he was raised by his mom, not his dad. So just something to keep in mind. But you do bring up a great point. There are people out there that they will push forward, that they will pretend like they're with us and they're going to fight for us. And it's just all an act. He was also a politician. So what can I say? Shout out to the Traveler for the super chat. Lived experiences radicalize people a lot better than reading theory does. It's really true. Like I can read a book about the housing crisis in 2008. I can read that. But there are those of us who know people personally that were affected by that. That's different. I can read about Joe Biden's crime bills, but there are some of us in the Black community that know people that were personally affected by Joe Biden's crime bills, whether it's a family member, whether it's a friend. That's different. I can talk to you, or I can read a book about the education system in this country, the public education system in this country, and how property taxes screw up the school systems. I can do that. But it's different when you've actually gone to those schools that are underfunded and under-resourced. You actually experienced it. But that's how it is. That's how it is. So, it is Tuesday. It is 8:15. I tried to keep this to an hour. I think Chomsky got me upset. I spent too much time on Chomp. But I am going to head out, you guys. Oh, you guys, if you're looking for something to watch on Netflix, I just finished Clickbait. It was actually pretty good. The first episode moves kind of slow, so don't let that, make you check out. But clickbait was pretty good. It's pretty good. Still not sure how I feel about the end though. But if you like shows that have like a lot of twists and turns like in them, I think you'll like that. Roger, thanks for the super chat. I can fit 400 characters on Rockfin for $2 and you get more. YouTube wants $500 for 350 and you get less. Oh no, YouTube wants $5 for 350 and you get less. That is true. Hopefully I should be getting a new computer soon. And that'll change things. Because sometimes in StreamYard, if I have too many tabs open, it'll say connection is not stable. I don't know why I'm telling you guys all this stuff. You're probably like, what is StreamYard? What is she talking about? But yeah, definitely check out Clickbait if you can. And if you haven't done so, I would recommend Squid Game. Underlying theme in that is capitalism. That's how I feel anyway. Finish that as well. So, all right, guys, I hear the wind blowing outside. Time for me to peace out. Have a good night. Keep up the fight.